What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to the den. Apologize for the tardiness. You know, I'm on color folks time. I was trying to fix the audio. Something was going wrong on my end, so I wanted to try to get everything in order. Y'all already know what it is. We have Mr. Man Up joining us this evening. Man Up, how are you feeling this evening? How is everything going?
I can't complain. You know, been out in the battle. How about yourself? How you been feeling?
Well, pretty good myself. You know, just another day, nothing too major. Just getting it all together, trying to figure it all out. You know, the day, taking it one day at a time. Oh, hoping. Like I said, I see you rocking the jersey. I'm hoping them boys get right tomorrow. I'm not overly concerned or upset, but I just need them to do their part. You know, so
Yeah.
it is what it is. So let's see who we got in the mix joining us this evening. Then we're gonna jump into some conversation. We're gonna talk about why do people love violence? Why do people embrace the most negative things? So we got I got it on that top chat. That ain't where it's at. You know, live chat's what it is. I see Man Up in the chat. I see Mr. Baker Man, T. Tyler, Dr. Rabbit, Wise, Balin. Let's see, 335. What's the motherfucking deal? McVice. What's the motherfucking deal? Chris Paul, oh Lord, Rich Forever, huh? Y'all with that shit. Let's see. Eduardo Escalante, what's the motherfucker? Oh yeah, that was never a concern. You know what I'm saying? They didn't went to TSU, or TSU done came to them. They took all the TSU hoes across third ward. They done blew them out in the game. They're finna take all the dames. It's over with. And them TSU boys gonna be upset for about 2 weeks, but it'll be all right. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's all love. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, man, we're going to talk about violence. We're going to talk about why people embrace, such negative things, and then we're going to take a look a little bit at it, kind of like history. We're going to look at why people embrace these things now, even though we're more cultured, I guess you could say, prior to or compared to our ancestors or predecessors or however you want to look at it. Excuse me. So, like I said, when you take a look around the world, you take a look around America, especially because that's what we most of us know, most of us are familiar with. The thing is, and Kush, that's what my sister said. I don't know what the hell you talking about, but you know what I'm saying. If you look around the world, you look around people. It seems like when you look at TV, you look at movies, you look at music, the things that sell the best, the things that get the most play, it always seems to be the most violent stuff, the most negative things, the things that promote harm and discontent and things amongst your fellow man, your fellow people. And it's kind of a concerning situation. You kind of wonder, why is that? What makes people embrace violence? Are we naturally inclined to the negative, to the violent, to the evil, or is it something that is a learned behavior, or is it are you absorbing just the culture around you? So I think it's a very interesting topic and a lot to consider when we talk about this, man. I feel like Mr. Man Up, let's get your thoughts first. What do you think it is about people that leads them to be magnetically attracted to the negative, that leads them to want to go towards violence or towards things that aren't necessarily for your well-being? What do you think that is that makes people want to do that?
Well, I think it's a combination of different things, but the biggest thing that I think it is that it takes you away from your own personal life, your own personal space, I should say. And you get to look at other people, they're going through the same thing. And it kind of like, I know you said, I watched the last stream, you said you were a fan of Kevin Hart, but kind of like when Kevin Hart talks about, he got some crazy members in his family, his grandma does, his Uncle Richard Jr. and all that crap. We all got that in our family, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of makes it like, well, I know I got this in my family, but it's cool to see someone else, you know what I'm saying? And it's not really a positive or negative thing. I think it's more of a neutral thing, because it can also be a learning curve as well, too, if you know what I mean. Okay. For example, you get bullied when you're in school, you learn how to defend yourself. Things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's one of those type of things where you can take it the wrong way when you watching TV, listening to music, seeing someone else, going through their situations and stuff like that. I think there's more of a type of thing to where we as people need to learn how the negativity is really negative, but then use as a positive, because we can sit here and say, okay, I've been through some things, let me learn from it, or I was taught this by my mom and dad or whoever, let me try to learn from it. I don't have to go through these things anymore, or don't have to go through them at all. So that's the reason why I said, why are we so attracted to the negative stuff? Now, it don't have to be just, everyday life. I mean, hey, you got a lot of violence in the world. I mean, sports of violence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Baseball, hockey, football, soccer, all that stuff is violence. So, and like I said, that's what I'm saying. It's not really a bad thing, but it's just a question that I think we need to ask ourselves. Why are we attracted to it? You know what I'm saying? And thanks, Heidi. I am suiting up for tomorrow. I'm ready to play. I'm going to play.
You're gonna get in the game. All right.
Yeah.
So Balin is Uganda Knuckles. He knows the way. But I agree with you, man. Like, and I think that it's not a good or bad, because when it comes down to everything that when you say good and or bad, it's your perspective, it's your opinion. I don't think that there is. I mean, because what's good to some person, say I'm walking down the street and I find, $10,000 in the middle of the road. That doesn't happen like that. But hey, if I did, hey, this is great for me. I don't see no idea. I don't have no way to return it to anybody. I guess I'm gonna keep this $10,000. I just came up $10,000, but somewhere somebody's lost $10,000. It could have been somebody taking that money from their business, their bank from their business to the bank to save their business from getting closed, or just got a loan to keep their house, or whatever it could have been, and they just lost that money and they have no way of recouping it. And so to them it's a bad, but to you it's a good, when in reality those things kind of almost cancel out. It's unfortunate for them, but if you don't know who it is, you don't know how to get it back to them, more than 9 times out of 10 you're going to keep it. So it's what some people will call a blessing. That's something we're going to talk about too, blessings. We're going to address blessings, but it's a good for you, it's a bad for them. So therefore it really is, it's neutral. So like you said, I think everything really is neutral. It's just the perspective from which you're looking at it. But you're talking about violence, and you didn't even mention violent sports. And I think that's why, especially like here in America, the violent sports seem to thrive overall. Football, hockey. I guess hockey has its fan base, I guess, because it just ain't a lot of ice everywhere. So it's not a lot of people don't get into it in other places. I'm sure like Southern California, I don't know how the weather is over there, but I'm sure they don't get too much snow. Here in Texas, we don't really get a lot of snow, and Louisiana, places like that, I don't think they probably get too much into hockey like that. But it's a violent sport that people pay attention to. You mentioned soccer. Soccer does have its collisions. Baseball, a lot of people say it's America's pastime. I guess you could say that. I mean, we'll accept that right now, since Houston won the last championship. Competition is a thing that people embrace too. But when you look at it, like when we talk about how you said, you see people going through something either similar or worse than you, and it makes you feel a little bit better about yourself. It makes you feel a little bit better about your situation. You can sit here and say, I gotta figure out why this thing don't want to stay up and keep tilting. The fucking mic is drunk. But it makes you feel a little bit better about your situation compared to what other people have going on, to what other people are doing, or it makes it relatable, So I think that's kind of the thing. Like when you look at rap music, primarily people are always negative. It's always this, and this. But when you hear something on the radio, or you hear an album from whoever your favorite artist is, and then you look outside and you damn near can visualize what they're rapping about or what they're talking about, and you can relate to it, then there's that connection. But then I kind of want to ask you, does, like, let's take rap music for example. It generally has a negative connotation. It's usually about you always hear motherfuckers talking about fucking somebody else bitch, or running up on taking this from somebody, or killing somebody, or getting money, and getting money depending on what way they're talking about getting money. It could be positive and or negative, but usually it has to do with somebody else's detriment. Does that is that like again just kind of a modern form of poetry so that people relate to it, or do you think that it helps perpetuate the situation that a lot of people are in? Does it perpetuate that negativity? You know what
I
I
think
mean?
it does perpetuate the negativity. It does promote it because you mentioned this before, and you had a point. How if you put out a rap album, people would jump all over that. But saying how you doing, the Den and I almost said Kush Den, but saying how you doing the Den and South Sports, you're growing. I see that, but you know what I'm saying, you're gradually getting up there. You see what I'm saying? And but if you were to put out a rap album, you would have been out there more likely like that. And I think it's more of a type of thing to where, yeah, people can relate to it because, you do have some of those that's in the struggle, that's trying. And some people do like to see other people make it. But I think it's also one of the type of things where people, just love to hear something about someone else doing something. Like I said before, it not only just music. I mean, you get that in movies and TV shows and all that stuff too. And I think it's more the fact that we just as a people need to try to shy away from that just a little, if that makes sense. Because I think when we will, when we if we do shy away from it, I think it'll open up a bigger, open up your eyes a little bit more to some other things that's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? Because you got violence, negativity, all over. Like when you're watching these reality shows, if you notice, none of the females on there get along. So you might get some that get along today, then tomorrow they call each other bitches and hoes and stuff. Talking about your mama, I take your man and all that crap. But then you have these uh rappers or singers or whoever. You'll see them like Chris Brown, not Chris Brown, Bobby Brown. Uh, you know, promoting violence and negativity through his music. Talking about he having sex with all these women, he was doing drugs and all that stuff. He had a baby behind Whitney Houston's back and stuff like that. People pay more attention to that than the ones that's been together for 20 years faithfully, never did nothing wrong to each other. They say, oh, that's sweet, that's sweet. But then turn around over here and be like, this motherfucker, this blah, 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 blah. They'll be on this here for this negativity forever. And yeah,
I got my damn audio off. But the little Bobby Brown documentary thing that it came out, and my little timeline from, the couple of people that I do follow that was watching it. Bobby Brown this, Bobby Brown that. Oh, he did this, and he was fucking with Janet Jackson, and he was doing all this. And it's crazy how information like that can permeate the social media, the web, all this shit, especially in the black culture. That's the shit that kills me. All that gossip and all that other shit. As opposed to somebody could give you the secret to life, and people would not. I don't agree with that. They wouldn't share it. They wouldn't give a shit about it. You have people always talk about poverty and getting out of this, that, and the third. And there's so many people on the internet that basically almost share their secrets for free on how they've came up digitally, how they've come up, with little hustles in real life and all these other things. People say, oh, I can't figure this out. I can't figure that out. But there's so much information out there. But people don't share that. People don't put that out there. It's because, like you mentioned, people love embracing the negative. They like seeing other people in the same situation or worse off than they are, but they don't want to spread that advice that could put somebody in a better position than them. If they do come across it, generally people keep that shit to themselves, as opposed to saying, hey, you know what, you should check this out, or spreading that message to everybody who is available to. But like I said, I didn't mean to cut you off. Really, it just kind of struck a little wire in my brain, and so yeah, we'll go ahead there.
yeah, all right, man. What's going on there, Joshua? No, I was finna get into that social media stuff too, because from what I've seen when it first came out, like MySpace, and I know I'm old, that's what I'm talking about, MySpace, but those apps, came out, those social media, I should say, came out to help you keep up with friends and families that, you might be in this state or city, they could be in that state or city. But people started using it, putting themselves having sex on there, putting their personal business. Oh, I got into a fight with my man. He ain't no good, stuff like that. Oh, that bitch ain't shit. All this stuff, and then it just went straight left. You know what I'm saying? It went straight the wrong way, and people will pay more attention to that than to other people that might be using social media for the right things, trying to start up a business or try to get someone to come help do charity and stuff like that. It's very rarely you see positive stuff, you know what I'm saying, on social media and people will support it. Like, for example, let me ask you this. What was the last thing that you can remember that was very public that someone used social media for that was not negative? What was the last thing that you can remember? Yep.
That didn't hear that. My fault. I had my mute on. Probably, like I said, we're saying the damn JJ Watt thing. That's probably really the last thing or something along those lines, honestly, that actually got spread and went viral that was positive. Outside of that, but the thing about that is that it took some negativity for that to go positive. You know, it took a negative situation like Hurricane Harvey coming through for that to generate that positive. So again, that's that neutral factor. Even though all this negativity happened, then some positivity came in, but then again, it kind of neutralizes. So, and it might actually still be more negative. But go ahead there.
But let me ask you this. Now, you said that. Now, what happened? Something positive on social media that was kind of public before the JJ Watt thing?
Shit, I couldn't even tell you. Exactly.
That's my point.
It's so few and far in between. I mean, if I just try to come up with something off the rip, I have absolutely nothing. Man, T'Challa, I see what you're talking about. I don't know if you have seen that, Man Up, about the couple. They raised money in name of a veteran. Because what happened is the chick ran out of gas basically on the side of the road. She ain't had no gas money anyway. She ain't had, her phone was dead or whatever. Couldn't get to a gas. They couldn't do nothing. She was scared. Homeless dude took his $20, went to the store, filled the gas can up with gas, brought it back, gassed her up, sent her on his way. You know, she got his name, all of that. She just said thank you, all of this. So she kind of got his story, found out about him, put up a post on like a GoFundMe or whatever. Said they were gonna raise $10,000. You know, end up raising $400,000 for this dude. But here's the deal: is the GoFundMe was primarily in that couple's name and everything. Next thing you know, they going on trips. They gambling in Vegas. They done bought a BMW. You know, oh, this is the money that we did with our money, but we're only allocated because the money was to get him a used like Explorer or a truck or something like that. They wanted to get him like a little apartment or something like that. So they ended up getting a travel trailer. And it was supposed to be a truck, like because he wanted a Ranger, he said, or something, like his dream truck. But they ended up getting him like a little Explorer, the travel trailer, but kept it in their name. Never put anything in his name. Said they was giving him a little money here and there, but they gave him a little bit of money. But he went and he even admitted on the interview, he's like, yeah, I did take some of it, and I went and got some drugs with it, you know. But I still don't feel like, you know, it's their right to try to treat me like a kid, because that's basically what they did. They brought him in. They was taking pictures with him around Christmas time, had him dressed up in the little fucking one-piece pajama things, like they was just all one big family. But they were doing all that basically to keep that cash flow coming in. So comes to find out, they basically spent all the fucking money. Tried to get him, like he had a lawyer came with him pro bono, basically took his case up. They were trying to say, oh, well, you know, we still have it. We're going to put it in a trust. They was trying to text him and say, oh, well, you know, look, let's just get everybody out of it, and we'll give you all the money that's left. And there wasn't no fucking money left. So they ended up getting raided, you know, then took the BMW, took all this shit. And at first, you know, when you look at the couple, you know, if you didn't see the background of it, you're like, okay, well, they're a decent looking couple. But again, when you got some extra change to make yourself look a little bit better, you know, hey, it does wonders for you. But when they showed their house, once they got raided, that's when I knew. I was like, oh, they stole that shit. I knew before all the rest of the details came out. When they showed that house, because they lived like in a shack damn near, it looked like, you know what I mean? It was just like, to be going out buying a new BMW, to be taking trips all over the place to Vegas and vacationing here and there nonstop damn near. And I forgot what their job was. He was a contractor with a bad gambling habit, but they were saying he hadn't worked in a while. And then she was, I forgot what she did, but it wasn't that kind of it wasn't that kind of money to be doing what they did. So basically, they took that fucking. They expected that 10,000 to come in. You know, they would have gave it to them, but when they saw that it got so much, that greed came in, and they took that shit and ran with it. You know, and so basically, GoFundMe got involved and said they're gonna make sure old buddy gets all the money he was supposed to get because it was raised for him, regardless of what he would have done with it. It was raised, for him because he did that good deed. But they're basically they're under investigation and shit. But I'm like, that shit is wild. But when I seen that house, I was like, oh my God, I know they stole that money because
send me that link. I ain't hear about that one.
Yeah, I got you. I'll pull it up. Make sure. Let me jot that down.
Okay.
But it was real interesting. But I mean, that's crazy. But they use that positivity.
Yep.
And then turned it into a negative situation. Man, the dude didn't get to get the bread. Like, regardless of how you felt, because it's not about. Oh, well, he took it and spent it and did whatever. It's not even about the fact that you stole from him. You stole from those people that donated too, because they wanted that money to go to him for whatever intention, regardless if it was going to drugs or whatever he was doing. They sent that money for him to use because of the good deed that he did for you. Because honestly, he didn't have to spend that money. Anything could happen. She could have got out that car trying to find a way, and she could have got robbed, even though she didn't have nothing to get robbed for. She could have been raped. Anything negative could have happened to her that he prevented by telling her, hey, stay in your car, lock your doors. I'll go do what I got to do to make sure, that you have some gas. And like I say, people are vile, man. And again, like that greed is a motherfucker. That green-eyed monster is a motherfucker. But when you're talking about positivity and things like that, it's crazy.
No, it's crazy. I ain't never heard that story, but no, I agree with you because I ain't gonna show it, but I'm also reading this book called "I Am Not the Father." It's about guys that's saying that's getting used, in paternity and stuff like that, being tricked into thinking they're the father, and they find out later on that they're not, various different ways that they find out, but. And it kind of, like I said, negativity kind of does open your eyes a little bit, kind of makes you a little wiser, teach you to learn, not to do this, not to do that, not to be so trusting of people, things like that. But then also, too, it can be a bad thing because it's like sometimes the first thing that people will watch or listen to or want to pay attention to is what I should say to sum it all up, is the negativity. Like, for example, like I said, it could be a fun thing, like watching Tom and Jerry back in the day. Yeah, that was some violent ass shit. Man. But it was fun to watch. So that's what I'm saying. It's not all a bad thing. It depends, like you said before, it depends on your perspective and how you look at it. But then again, like the story you just told me right there, the negativity part, now that's a fucked up thing, if you ask me. Yeah. Excuse my language there, but that's messed up. You don't do that. Yeah, he might have used it for drugs, but guess what? That's him that have to live with that. And maybe GoFundMe or whoever would have came at him for that. Mm-hmm. But now they in trouble. See what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I'm saying. So they paid attention to the positive, trying to help this guy, but then here goes some bigger things. Because like I said, I ain't never heard the story until you just told me. Now they paid attention. Now even mine paying attention to the people that did it wrong.
Yeah, man, that's funny. I'm laughing at T. Charlotte said when you said "I'm not the father." Talking about, is that a book by Darth Vader?
I even look at the title now. No, I'm not. No, it's a book. I'm not gonna show it because I know it's copyright and stuff like that. So, but it's a book called "I Am Not the Father" that I was reading. A coworker of mine gave it to me, and I told him I'd read about it and tell him what I think and all that stuff. But like I said though, when it comes to, and then you had wanted to talk about something earlier. I think you said music or something like that.
Yeah, we're talking about the negativity in music. Probably, across a wide scale of things. I definitely want to talk to. I want to say shout out to Roscoe. I just seen you in there. But what's his name? Edman had a question for you. I want to let you address that, and then we'll get to it just so we don't forget about it. What was he saying? He says, "Man Up, have you ever been involved in beef where it spilled over to violence?"
Well, I'm gonna put it like this. Of course, we all have beef with someone. Nobody on this earth is going to get along. Not everybody, on this earth is going to get along. That's just how it goes. That's what makes the world go round. So, of course, you're going to have some beef with some people. And yes, a couple of times it did spill over into violence. Of course, like when you're in grade school, yeah. But as an adulthood, yes. And I'm not going to get into specifics of everything, but just to answer your question, yes, I have. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But you learn and you live from it. You learn not to be so trusting. You learn to watch yourself as you take step forwards into trusting people and things like that. So, yeah.
I definitely agree. You got to be careful, man, and because sometimes friends turn to foes. You got to peep people out, but I think sometimes people can want to have friends so badly they'll overlook a lot of things, and you got to be cautious sometimes. But sometimes people are just so good at faking and finessing that it takes a little bit of a while for the the Kodak, the true colors shine through, to really see what people are really about, man. I'm telling you, it's just you gotta be cautious with folks. But some things. I'm
sorry, I'm sitting here laughing at Heidi talking about I grew my goatee to hide the deadly chin punches. Heidi's silly, man. Like I said before, it's completely up to Honcho, but I'm challenging Heidi. I know she remember what that challenge is. I'm challenging Heidi. Come on now.
When the internet issues a challenge, you can't back down. That's the rules of the internet. That's how it works. You can't disobey the rules. I want to say something too before we move on. We're talking about violence. We're talking about football as a violent game. You know what does not incite violence, what does not inspire me to anger? Colin Kaepernick's voice. Man, when I heard, I get the commercial. It's a cool commercial and all that stuff, and I get everybody else angry about protesting and burning shoes. I don't give a fuck about that. That dude, whoever was talking when the commercial came on, I was like, oh, whoever this soft-ass narrator is, you know what I mean? It's okay, cool, whatever. But then when it turned out to be that was Colin Kaepernick's voice doing the talking the whole time in that commercial, I'm like, man, I don't know about this dude right here. That dude you sound like Michael over there. Don't be one of the crazy ones, or it's only crazy till you do it. Yeah, just do it. I'm Colin Kaepernick. Take a knee. But that dude there got a suspect ass fucking voice. I'm like, what is going on, nigga? You play professional football. You're not allowed in the league with a voice that soft. What's really going on? Hated it too, snap.
Oh man,
that's funny. That's super fucking hilarious. Hated it. That's that. Y'all youngsters don't know about that old school and living color, man. That joke went right over y'all head. Y'all don't say y'all.
Yeah. My wife likes that. Hated it. Yeah. My wife loves this shit. What's it? Men on Film. There we go.
Yeah, Men on Film. Yeah. And the funny thing, man, it's funny. We're talking about violence and negativity, but it's funny how things in the past become real stuff in the future. Men on Film was a joke back then. Now it's a thing. Now, I'm pretty sure somewhere, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere, or how things became that were jokes back then become real. Fuck all that shit. Well, the skits and sketches and all that shit now are real shows that people are paying attention to and watching. And Magic would cure the AIDS. Yeah, they gave the cure on South Park. How you got cured the AIDS and shit. Magic ain't got nothing. Magic clean.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I agree with you, though. That's kind of what I was finna get at too, as well too. But that kind of makes me bring my point up a little further. Excuse me. How something that we would laugh at about back then that we thought was funny, it didn't offend nobody. Nowadays, today that will offend every gay person on this earth almost.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about right there. It's like, how is it funny then? Now it's not funny when it's the same thing. Don't make no sense. But I know it's just the times have changed. But I just think, when it comes to stuff like that, like you said before on your last thing, it all depends on who's looking at it. And it only offends those when it's about them. When it's about someone else, it's not offensive.
Yeah.
Like you said before, it could be using the N-word, for example. Black people use that among each other all the time, and it's not offensive. But soon someone else that's not black use it towards you, now it's offensive. Yeah. Don't make no sense. Yeah. I don't know. I would never understand that. You could preach it to me till you blue in the face. I'll still be like, it's the same damn thing. But what I'm saying, Just like I said before, when it comes to situations like this, uh, uh, we as a people need to stop being so damn sensitive about every damn thing, and know that like okay, for example, like I say this a lot. These kids these days are lazy and fuck, blah blah blah. Now, if you know you're not lazy, it don't apply to you. It could apply to the next kid. You know what I'm saying? If you know you're not lazy, so what you getting offended for? You know what I'm saying? If you say all black people are lazy, don't work, you know, living on welfare, and you're like, okay, because it's not me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get offended. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, there might be a lot of black people, but I'm not offended because it's not me. You know, so that's why I say when it comes to stuff like that, it's just ridiculous to me. But go ahead with your saying. I'm sorry, cut you off. Go ahead.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 segundo. Let me adjust something real quick. Y'all give me 1 moment here, chat. Like literally like 30 seconds or so.
Okay. I keep it going. Yeah, and Balin Reels, or however you say your name. Yeah, you I did hear about that. And like I said, that's when people start paying attention to the negativity. And that's when, because, who was that? Lawrence Taylor, he did that. And nobody, you know what I'm saying, really paid attention to who he was and nothing like that until that happened. If that makes sense.
All right, there we go. I had to adjust. I think it looked better with the that way with the guest by the couch. So yeah, it wasn't of major importance, but I just think that looks better. So anyway, but like I say, man, getting back to violence and just talking about the things that are going on. You know, I'd like to know your opinion. I did a little bit of researching today for this topic, and kind of some things that were put into perspective for me. Would you say these days, is the world more violent, or do we just have more access to seeing what everyone else is going through with cameras and the technology and things like that? Do you think that the world is more violent than it once was, or is it less violent? I mean, what is your overall take on that?
I'm not gonna say violent. I'm gonna say more negative. Period. Because with the cameras, secret cameras, and how people can Photoshop your face onto someone else's body and make it look real and stuff like that. People can sit here and say that you're doing this and you're doing that when you don't even know that person. How people are messing with kids these days. All the school shootings, all the negative, all the violence. Period. Oh, can y'all hear me now? Someone said that I was breaking up bad.
Oh man, let me see. Now, I can hear you. I'm not sure. Let me see if they're. How are y'all hearing Man Up? Is it clear for y'all? Like I said, I can hear you pretty good. So I want to make sure everybody else is.
You said I'm breaking up. All I heard was on stage.
They sound a little muffled at times.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, you can kind of blame me a little bit there. I just got this new device today because every time I do a stream with Honcho, it seems to be messing up like at one time. I sounded like a robot. Oh, yeah, I went back and I watched it, and I was like, whoa. That was my laptop. That was my laptop, and I can't seem to get it to act right, so I'm kind of going to throw that one away and get another one. So, but I do, and I did want to apologize to you for that one because of course, I couldn't hear myself talking like that until I went back and watched the stream. I was like, whoa, that is horrible. But so hopefully I sound good now for y'all. Hopefully I sound good.
So when you get closer up, they say, sound when you're a little bit closer.
Okay, let me get a little closer then. Hold on. Just my seat. This Honcho got me on the couch now. Let me just my seat.
Yeah. Like I got it. I think that's more suitable. You know what I'm saying? Have you on the couch. The couch was just sitting there. I'm just looking at the couch. I'm like, man, ain't nobody look, because they used to have a little alien on the couch or whatever. And I'm just like, man, the couch empty now. We got to figure out what we can do with the couch, man. So we put Man Up on the couch. That's why I moved him to the couch, Ed, man. He's a guest. You know, he needs to be able to sit and relax on the couch. You know, be comfortable. You know, that's how all the TV shows do it on the you know, on TV on the channels and shit. So look, you know, put him on the couch. That's the guest.
Oh, but yeah, let me go ahead and repeat what I was saying because someone said something about a football player. I forgot who it was. I'm trying to find it. Oh, Karl Malone smashed a 14-year-old teenager.
Yeah, he did.
I heard something of it. I didn't really pay attention to it, but that kind of goes into what I was saying. I remember Lawrence Taylor got in trouble with a prostitute. I think she was 15 or 16 at that time. Mm-hmm. But that's all people paid attention to. They didn't pay attention to the pimp of that 15-year-old girl and the girl's friend. Everybody told him, and the girl herself, all three of them told him that she was 19.
Yeah.
So nobody really paid attention to that part. And even they went and told the judge, hey, we all told them that she was of age.
Yeah.
Of course, that don't matter, but at least, you know what I'm saying, they tried to, help him out, make it right, I should say.
Yeah.
But nobody paid attention to that part. They only paid attention, he statutory raped a little 15-year-old girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, y'all. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that nobody paid attention to they lied to him. That's the reason why he did it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying we all pay attention to the negative stuff. And you said advice, your instincts will tell you how old the girl is. No, well, that could be true. I'm not saying it's not. But I also think, like I said before, a few Kush back, if you have a good adult conversation, you can pretty much tell.
Yeah, but I think that was a little bit of the dick thing. Don't talk to everybody. But I think what in that situation, like in a normal situation where there's not money involved and you actually have to have a little bit of conversation, you got to spend a little game. You can with a little bit of interaction. But it's some old bras that's dumb as shit. It's some old bras that act like they fucking 15 years old and they be 40 fucking 50 years old. But I think in a situation where it's a pay for pussy transaction, you're not really having those kind of conversations with the bitch. You basically, hey, let's do the damn thing. And, I know some motherfuckers do, Some people do be having fucking conversations with the whole vegetable carrot. That's a joke. I'd have to put y'all on the vegetable carrot joke. But, so I think when you just got a bitch coming up to your room, you just trying to get some pussy, you wanting something that is an older man. They like these young hoes, and so he probably like, fuck it, I want me a little young, but I'm expecting that she's legal. It's grass on the field, so I'm thinking I can play ball. And I don't think that, motherfuckers say, oh, yeah, she's 19, she's 18, 19. There's a thin line, because women mature a little bit faster than men do around that age. So you thinking, between, 16, 17, 18, 19, it can be hard to visually, to tell. So that's why a lot of these young hoes be getting in the club and shit. I remember used to be bitches when I was in high school. Bitches coming to school now. I was at the club. Like, goofy bitch. You can't even drive. How the fuck you was in the fucking club last night? You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers don't be caring. You throw the right shit on, especially the way these motherfuckers be looking like trannies with all the makeup and shit on. Motherfuckers don't be knowing the difference. No, I'm not justified. But if prostitution was legalized, they might as well do it, then there would be, he would have been able to avoid that situation. But it's just it's it's bad business, you know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, like I said, I think that's just one of them sketchy kind of gray areas as far as age wise. I'm not saying go pay for no pussy in the first place, but it's always going to be that transaction will always take place, even if it's under the board. Sugar daddies and all that other shit. Like it'll always be some type of bullshit ass situation where men are paying for pussy. You know what I'm saying? One way or another, they gonna do it. They gonna have some either kind of constant type shit, or they gonna go out and make a straight up transaction. So I think it's let's get the weed legal first. I feel let's one thing at a time. One thing at a time. You know what I'm saying? Because what happens when you get the weed legal, motherfucker gonna smoke some. Hey, you know what? I don't even know why prostitution is illegal, man. Look, I'm trying to fuck something right now. These bitches tripping. I pay a bitch right now, goddamn. Fucking, shit, the politicians already paying hoes. They look, y'all don't know the power of the pussy. Shit, the pussy done got some fucking laws changed, and then got motherfuckers to switch parties. Went from conservative to liberal like a motherfucker. Y'all really know. Y'all don't even know. I'm just saying. But
a lot of things. Oh, Jay Bird, you said you want to see my jersey number. Here you go. There you go.
Hold up, baby.
99.
Now it's official. JJ Watt gonna have 2 sacks tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
It's official. He didn't man up to made that happen.
Hopefully he had the double 9. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Well, but yeah, like what you were just saying, man. Yeah, a lot of men will pay for it. You know, and I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. It's your business, your life. Would I personally do it? Nope. But because I always say, man, I ain't spend my hard-earned money on that. Forget that. Shoot, but anyway, yeah, man, we'll do that. I mean, what you think made the Bunny Ranch so successful out in Las Vegas? What makes you think Hugh Hefner was so successful with his magazine and stuff like that? So, and that's supposed to be the oldest profession in the world. So yeah, it's gonna always happen and always sell. That's why porn is what $6 billion somewhere around there a year industry. It's somewhere around the 6 billion, 5 billion, somewhere around there. That's why, you know what I'm saying? You know, you got these women, whether they good looking or not, you know, giving it out, and you know, and they gonna do it. People gonna buy it. You know, it's like I can't believe it. You know, but I don't know. It's just a thing that I personally would not do. I wouldn't. I ain't gonna say. I know they always say never, but nah, never. I wouldn't do it.
Man, they always tell me, you know, you don't. When it comes to prostitution, it's not that you're paying for the pussy, you're paying her to leave. Is what I heard. So you know, you're paying for the leave after it's all said and done. So that's what they used to tell me.
That came off that movie Four Brothers.
You know, but I talk about violence. Edmund had a good point. Is some violence necessary good for the world? Yeah, I definitely believe it, because I think that there is you have to regulate things. You know, sometimes words will get the job done, but sometimes, you know, if you make threats without the presence of violence, people are just gonna continue to do the same thing. You can say so many things. You need to stop doing that, or else what? Or else I'm gonna get angry, and what you gonna do when you get angry? I'm gonna complain about it. Oh, nigga, fuck you. You know, like if you don't have something to instill a little reasoning behind your actions, you know, look, I'm gonna beat your motherfucking ass. Oh, well, my bad. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a little bit of violence is necessary. And I mean, that starts, like I said, I was doing a little bit of looking it up, and we were talking about, you know, whether the world has increased in violence or decreased in violence, or if it's just the availability of the technology and things. What people don't realize is the world has significantly decreased. The more educated, the more intelligent we become as a people, the more we socialize, the more we progress in civilization, the less and less the inclined to violence we become. Because they talked about, you know, how they used to punish people back then. They would split people open in the middle of the fucking, in public. You know, they would hang people. They would hook people and gouge their flesh. They would burn people at the stake. I mean, just the public displays of punishment. I mean, now we're in a situation where people are debating the death sentence with lethal injection, which is, or the chair. Is that too violent? Like it used to be, they would violently murder people at the request of the state. Now, in the middle of the streets, it would be a thing. See, when they used to hang niggas back then, I mean, it would be a public type thing. But now, again, as we become more and more civilized, less and less of these things become socially acceptable. We become different. We become more sensitive to it. And then the frequency at which, because you got to think about now all the technology that's available to help prevent, to stop certain things. When there was no law, when there was no, you know, right and wrong, because nobody instilled that in you back then, you made your own decisions. You decided as a human being, okay, well, there's no rules. I'm just existing. I've encountered this other human being. I don't know if they're good or bad. I don't know if I want what they got or they want what I got. So you make a decision whether you're gonna become friends with them or you gonna kill them and take their shit. Especially you in the wilderness where nobody's ever gonna fucking know. I mean, it wasn't that moral right and wrong. You know, people were more like animals back then. So if an animal was hungry, shit, he gonna do what he got to do to eat. The animal's not thinking, well, the lion ain't thinking, well, you know, that zebra looks delicious, but if I rip his flesh, he's gonna suffer. And he's got a baby zebra with him. I don't want to. I'm not gonna do. I'll starve. No, this motherfucker gonna go eat. He gonna try to take the baby out before the fucking grown zebra because the baby gonna be easier. Just depending on how big of a meal he wants. People were the same way, but the more and more civilized we become, the more we form societies, the more we become socialized. You know, the less inclined we are to violence. And they were talking about that. They had a comparison with monkeys, chimps. Well, chimps versus the bonobos. The chimps are more inclined to violence. They'll go whoop other monkey gangs and they'll beat each other to death. You know, they're inclined to violence. They were talking about, it was funny too. It's funny that Heidi mentioned the chin hairs because they were talking about how evolution, the monkey and some men, and it was funny because I started thinking about it, like, damn, no wonder why dudes be having square chins. And that's supposed to be a trait that women find attractive, to having that wider jaw, because that's supposed to make you more inclined to be able to take a punch. That's the monkeys. They progressed over the years. Their jaws became wider, but this was only a trait that happened with the males because, you know, they were the ones that were fighting. The women, they was over there breastfeeding the babies, watching these old monkey niggas tripping again. They out there fighting over the last banana and shit. These niggas ain't gonna never, that old monkey Earl, he tripping. But, you know, all seriousness, you know, but it's evolution and things like that form this. And so, I mean, the same thing in humans. So if you look at a family and they got a lot of square jaws and shit like that, they probably come from the historically violent family. These motherfuckers, they might be drunk fighting all the time and shit. Now, you generally don't see this in women. Now, if you do see it in women, you bitch got a daddy features, and you know, hey, that's a whole nother thing. But you know, that's just something I kind of picked up. I thought that was really interesting. You know, kind of figuring that out, because we talk about all the time. You hear people say, "Oh, the world is just getting worse and worse and worse." It's always just getting worse. But again, I think it's just that you can visualize things more that you normally wouldn't see in your day to day. Because if you did see them, you'd probably be dead because it'd be happening to you. But now that we're so social, we got social media. We see all these things happening to other people. We just, oh, it's worse. Well, no, you've just implemented yourself into other people's information, into other people's lives, and so now you've absorbed all this shit. And now it appears worse to you because now you have knowledge of all of these things that are going on. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the crazy thing.
Let me ask you this. You did your research and you said back then there was more violence than today. Now, is that including like going to war and stuff like that?
Yeah, they were talking about, I mean, and it was primarily, they were counting them, I don't think I've jotted down all the stuff. I jotted down a little bit, a couple of things I found interesting. They were talking about, what they did was a comparison from taking a lot of the fossils that they found, prehistoric fossils, ancient fossils, things like that of man, and they were saying they were looking at, you know, signs of violent death. So bashed in skulls. They found a lot with ropes, you know, stab wounds and things, arrowheads, you know, all this shit that were in them. And they said they did a comparison of the ones that they found, and it was like 15% of, you know, the hundreds or however many they found were from violent deaths. Now, compared to nowadays, in the 20th century, it was including the 2 world wars, and then they said, you know, and then you include, just to really bring that number up, they included, you know, man-made famines and genocides, and I believe it brought the number up to about 3% of the world, you know, suffering from violence and death and things like that. But when you take those things out and you're just going with the war, you're not talking about, like I say, the genocide, you're taking out the man-made famine and stuff. It was like a little bit under 1%. Nowadays, it's that's the 20th century. Now in the 21st century, it's looking like 3/100ths of 1%. So it's so small, or it's declining so much, but we immerse ourselves into so much of it. We're always paying attention to it because they have those fears in the back of our mind and stuff. You know, nobody wants to. Death it will definitely get your attention and things like that. It's a conversation piece, so we talk about it so much. You know, it just makes it seem like it's so much more going on than it really is. Now, of course, there are going to be pockets, especially within the country or certain countries in itself, that are inherently more violent or areas that are more violent than other places. So the likelihood of a violent act or a life-threatening act taking place in certain areas, of course, is going to be increased. But overall, if you're comparing the entire landscape, it's much less than what it used to be. So
the number one reason why I think is more, and I'm not trying to argue, I'm not trying to say you're wrong or anything, but this is just what I believe. And I didn't do research on that part, like violent deaths and stuff like that. I was just talking about like a lot of negativity and violence put together. You know what I'm saying? Like violence, like you might get into a fight, punch somebody, and run off. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Or you might get into, a shooting match with someone. Somebody might get shot in the leg, or whatever, and they still live. But the reason why I think it is today is because one, people are getting more and more upset if you hurt their feelings. You know what I'm saying? And more things are happening these days. I mean, just look at it like for example, like when we was in school. How many school shootings did you hear about when we was in school? Hardly any, if it was any. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. You felt safe going to school like it ain't nothing. Now, when my daughter goes to school, they have periodically mandatory lockdowns. You know what I'm saying? Just in case something happens.
Yeah.
Things like that. And that's what I'm getting at. And then, like I said, yeah, you might have a lot of violent stuff way back in the day, like in the 15, 16, 19th century or whatever, being stoned, getting tied to a rope and they shoot you to death, in prison execution style, death by execution, stuff like that. I mean, they still have that these days, death by injections and things like that. Death by electric chair, they still have those in Texas. But another thing when I think about it is too, like these days, like I was saying, I was reading that book called "I Am Not the Father." There was one guy in that book that was saying how he attacked his supposed to be baby mama, but it was his wife, beat her up because she lied to him about, the child and stuff like that. I mean, even back then, yeah, that stuff like that was happening, but it wasn't happening as it was today. So that's the reason why I predict, well, I think I should say, that, I mean, there's a whole bunch of more things that, I don't want to take up too much time, talking about, but there's a whole bunch of things that what I'm talking about that I think in today's world is more violent. Yeah. Now, killing, I don't know. I really couldn't answer that one. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm just going by, now I didn't do any research or anything like that. Just going by what you see every day, what you hear about, things like that. And it could be because I'm an adult, I'm paying attention to more things than I was when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. That could be it. You know what I'm saying? That could be it. But, what I'm saying? It's just a lot of things that, you think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I want to say it was maybe 5 years ago, something like that. It was this mom, or these parents, I should say, I forget mom and dad, but I'm going to tell you, parents were letting their kids watch Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry's violence, they'll grab pipes and cast guns and all that stuff, beat each other's head, grab a baseball bat, trying to knock each other out. Then here come the dog Butch getting into it with them and all that stuff. So it was a kid that tried to implement that. And the lady went on this protest talking about no more violence in the cartoons and stuff like that. She didn't want to let her kids watch that kind of cartoons anymore. Started watching more cartoons like not anime. It won't cut in my brain right now, but start watching non-violent cartoons. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why I say things like that, because I think that because these days, even though these days you can't really parent your child as much. You know what I'm saying? Tom and Jerry did master stepping on the rake. I'm not gonna lie, I even tried that a couple of times. It didn't work, man. I'm saying I tried it, but and that's the reason why I say these things, because in today's society, things are more lenient, I guess you could say, to where violence is more likely to happen. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I think that. You know what I'm saying? You know, and like I said before, it's not to say that you're wrong. I'm just going by what you see in everyday life, what you hear, things like that. You know, now you could possibly say that, yeah, like I said, more killings. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, but overall violence, I just think that it's more violence these days. You know what I'm saying? But that's just what I believe from what I've seen and heard. You know, from like maybe 10 years ago to today. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. You know.
Okay. And I could definitely agree with that. I can see that perspective. Question about the kid who's no longer watching the violent cartoons. Now is he now gone homo? I mean, why soften these kids up? You know, it's already is what it is. Like, it's a cartoon. When does the parent realize, hey, maybe I should talk to my child about reality and what's fiction, so that they can understand that, hey, this is going to hurt if you do this, or this is going to cause pain. This is a cartoon. This is a movie. This is not real. This is created in a studio. Like, when does that part happen? Instead of relying on any and everything else to fix those problems. And that's the problem that I have. Like, people kill me with this shit because they don't want to take responsibility. Like, people want to pop the kids out, and then they just feel like life is just supposed to raise the kids, and the kid is going to develop into something. It makes me think about, like, a cousin of mine that I've told you all about. No, whoopsie whoop. When I used to have a dog, one of my dogs that died a violent death. We're talking about violence, so I'm finding a way to tie it in. But he was a Chihuahua, Chilo, man. I raised him from small, taught him a bunch of little shit. So, like, you know, when he was hungry, if he didn't have food in his bowl, he would, you know, go to the bowl, tap the bowl, let me know, like, oh, my bad, you know, little nigga, let me put some food in your bowl. When he wanted to go outside, he'd go to the door, scratch, let me know he needed to go outside, you know. But I trained him to do these things. And so I remember when this dude got a pit bull, and he brought the dog over one time, and Chilo wasn't fucking with the pit bull. He was like, he ain't like the little puppy or whatever. And he's like, but he seen Chilo, you know, doing some little stuff, and, you know, I'd give him little commands or whatever, and he would follow and do what I told him. And he's just like, man, I can't wait till my dog starts doing that. I'm like, what you mean start doing that? Dogs don't just automatically know how to do that. You got to actually take the effort. So you ain't like leave the fucking dog in a cage 22, 23 hours a day, let it out for 5 minutes, go piss, and then put it back in the cage and expect that the dog is going to start fucking, you know, learning how to do these things. One, if you don't ever give the dog the opportunity and take the time to train it and show it, it's not going to happen. Like, when people just think that it's automatically going to take place, I don't know what that belief is, that it takes work for these things to happen. And then people don't want to appreciate the work that goes into this type of stuff. Chilo's a cat to pal.
Yeah, Braylon Rios, if I'm saying your name right, Braylon Rios. I was raised by the paddle too. Mm-hmm. My grandma used to say, "Boy, hike them britches up." I would get a whooping too. Don't trust me. So I know what you're saying. But yeah, I agree with you there, Honcho. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Whew. Went down the wrong pipe down. I agree with you there. Because I watched Tom and Jerry. My mom used to tell me, boy, if I ever catch you doing this crap here, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? She would let me know, no, don't do that. Yeah, like I tell my daughter, I don't mind you watching certain things on TV, just don't try to do it. Because if I catch you, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I will let her know, you know, because she'll see some things on YouTube and she'll think it's real. And I try to tell her, well, I don't believe everything you see on YouTube. Look it up to see if it's real or not. You know, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. To your point, yeah, you gotta put it in your kid's head because you know their imagination will run wild, and you gotta let them know that don't do everything you see, don't believe everything you see, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you on that one. Don't just sit here and get mad. Now it'd be different if like a couple years ago. This lady was letting her kids watch Disney Channel. She didn't say what they were watching, but she sat her kids down in the living room, let them watch Disney Channel, and she went in the kitchen and started cooking, came back to check on them, see what they were doing, and Disney Channel all of a sudden flipped into a porno station for a few minutes, then went back to the Disney Channel. So I can understand that part being upset. That was a little technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But I can understand that part being upset, but not getting upset because Tom and Jerry beating the hell out of each other. Along with whoever typed that earlier, yeah, you're right. It wasn't Butch, it was Spike. Yeah, you're right. I said Butch, I don't know why, but and a lot of then getting mad because they teaching my kids violence. Everything you hear or see on TV is violent, cursing, whatever. Mm-hmm. So you just gotta teach your kids, look, you're gonna go through this, and this is what it is. You know, whatever the situation may be, of course, all different. I'm not gonna get into that, but you gotta sit down and teach your kids this stuff. Man up, you got to go to jail. Don't know what that means on that. What you mean by that? Man up, you got to go to jail.
I don't know. You know, Jay Bird be on that other shit sometimes. I don't think he be knowing what he be talking about half the time. Jay Bird be on that. None of this. Man, porn's been around for a very, very, very long time, Heidi. I mean, the thing I saw something very interesting. You know, you got to shout out to the. You know, I tell y'all, I look at a lot of things. I try to avoid, you know, the negative black press. I look for, you know, blacks historically who have done great things. You know what I mean? Just to dispel all the myths and bullshit. It's easy to find the negative shit to fill your head with because it's just so commonplace. But I look for, you know, legends and people who've done great things. You got to wonder about some of the first black actors. I mean, there's porn way back in the black and whites. I mean, you talking about ever since there's been moving pictures. I mean, with the fucking little words popping up because you couldn't hear the talking. There's been pornography, and there is interracial porn from way back in the day, and so I just sit and wonder, like, how bold were those niggas? Did they hang them immediately after the shoot, like? Yeah, because it was back in the day. You wasn't supposed to be frolicking with a white woman. You wasn't supposed to be doing anything like that. You know, shout out to Jack Johnson. He ain't give a fuck about nothing. You know, so but I'm saying, like, immediately after that, what happened to those gentlemen? You know, they talk about great moments in history. I'm just wondering, who was the first one to cross that line and take that risk and put themselves on film doing something like that? That's some like that's fucking.
You know, I saw one. I literally, matter of fact, I kid you not. I don't know how I came across this on Google. I was looking up something. I forgot what it was. And I actually saw that the first black man to get hit by a white woman on a white only bus stop. And I saw that, and I was like, "What the?" Oh yeah, that's what I was doing. I was looking up because I remember you talking before about what's her name, Madam C.J. Walker, and she was the first black millionaire and stuff like that, from slavery to being a millionaire. And I got to looking up the first things that black people have done, and I don't know how that came across that. But it did, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And it's like back in the slavery days, it was this black man who sat on a white only bench and got a blowjob from a white woman.
Good grief. You know, look, you know, niggas are always willing to push the limits, man. You know, niggas do, like they say, niggas just don't give a fuck. Boy, that's.
Well, that I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not kind of what I was looking for, but hey,
breaking all the rules.
And when you saw that, when you said that, I was looking up Madam C.J. Walker, and I was like, she was born in 18 something, and she died in 1945 or somewhere around there, and I was looking that up, and I was reading her story a little bit. She was selling beauty products, mainly hair products, and how a lot of people, even some white people, start treating her better because she was a millionaire. And I thought that was so strange. I'm like, this is the same black woman that y'all had in slavery. Now she's a millionaire. Now you like her. That don't make no sense to me. But I was reading the story on that, and I was like, why isn't a lot more, not just women, but why isn't a lot more people following suit on this. You know what I mean? Like, if she can come from, I don't know if you want to say the worst predicaments ever, but one of the worst predicaments ever in slavery, to become a millionaire. How come we're not doing stuff like that today? You know what I'm saying? We as people, not just black people, not just black women, not women. We as people of all races and all gender on this, well, not all gender, but both genders on this earth. You know what I'm saying? Why we can't do that today? You know what I'm saying? We're not in slavery. It's easy to go get a job today at McDonald's or start, like you was talking about before, start your own thing online or, you know, whatever. You know, it's like, how come we can't do stuff like that today? You know, that's kind of mind-boggling to me. Now, I only thought about that because you said that you like to look at stuff that black people have done and things like that. Yeah. And when you got to talk about Madam C.J. Walker, I looked her up and I read a little bit on her story, and I was like, wow.
I'm telling you,
that's inspirational.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories like that, but you know, people get mad, and then I was talking about the other day, you know, we're like, it's not somebody else's job to know your history, because shit, motherfuckers barely be knowing their own history. So that's why I say I don't get offended when people say certain things. You know, once you heard of the Malcolm X's and the MLKs, that's your job to go find out if there are other people with interesting stories and things like that. But people don't do that, you know. And like I said, I follow everybody. Like I look at, you know, what's going on here, just people from everywhere. Like I look at, you know. Now, like Bill Gates' story, people always want to talk about how I want to be the black Bill Gates or this, that, and the third, but don't know this man's story. Or I look at like Jeff Bezos, you know, what he came from. I didn't even realize that he was born in Texas, you know. Just different people, you know, and I try to make it a habit to just study these people, you know. Of course, I'm not going to be exact like them. My path is going to be different. My journey is going to be different. It's going to be, you know, my own story, but you see how people, what they did, and you emulate some of the actions that they had, you know, when people, if you want to get to that level. But I think what you get a lot of people, the easiest thing, a lot of people don't want to read, don't want to study because they don't have access to certain people. So they look at the people who are most successful around them. And in impoverished neighborhoods, the people who are generally most successful around you are the dope dealers, or, you know, people who came from your hood who might have played sports, or, you know, they got out by playing, being an athlete or whatever it is. You relate to that because you see that on TV, but you're not seeing the people who are behind the scenes. You're not seeing the guys who are currently in college right now that become doctors because you ain't in the hospital, or whatever else it may be. But there's so many other great stories. But you got to get out. You got to be in the right reading section. You got to be looking for the right things, because if you only are looking for a particular thing, you're going to be blinded. You focus your vision only on one thing. This is the only thing I'm looking for. You're going to miss everything else. You're going to miss so many other opportunities. Yeah, I'm on the flossing section right now, Heidi. How to floss in flower pants, chapter 3. I'm going to be honest, not the best thing I've come across, but I'm gonna struggle through it. But what were you saying there, man?
Did you hear? I'm sorry, man, but that was funny. Did you hear about the lady who started Harry Potter? Mm-mm. Did you hear her story?
Was it J.K. Rowling? Or what's her name? J.K. Rowling? Something like that. But I hadn't heard her story, though.
My wife was telling me the story, and I found it amazing that she was on welfare, became homeless, kind of got out of the struggle a little bit, but got back on welfare. But then she just started writing books for her kids to read. Didn't he really know how they got out, how they got, you know, to where they are now? But she was just writing books for her kids to read, you know, something for her kids to read, because she couldn't afford all that stuff. And somehow it got out to the general public. Now look at Harry Potter, one of the richest sequels ever, movie sequels ever. Yeah. And now this woman, just because she was writing books for her kids, bam, billionaire. I ain't gonna say billionaire, probably, but you know, I was like, wow, that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Just writing books for your kids. Yeah. Wouldn't nothing fancy. You know,
she ain't worried about. She ain't worried about the 2 for Tuesdays at Popeyes no more. I guarantee you that. She eating good. So you talking about Black Americans with the slave art. I think there's a thing. I mean, you got to look at it one of two ways, and I think most people look at it the first way as opposed to the second way. There's nothing wrong with having a connection to your history, but what I think what I talk about with Black folks is, you know your history, but don't be bound by your history. And what it is, you have a lot of people who are bound by the history as opposed to knowing it and using that as a springboard to move forward. Say, hey, you know what? I'm fortunate that I'm not in those conditions. I'm not in that situation. I'm not going to forget where I came from, where I could be, or what it could still be, or those who came before me, what they went through, you know, for me to be in this position. That's different. You got a lot of people who look at slave art, buy all the slavery, they buy all the most shit that they mentally oppress themselves and then wonder why they can't get, because they connect themselves to the slavery still, you know. My ancestors were slaves and this, and that. I don't look at it like, I don't watch slave movies. I don't participate in that type of shit. Like, I understand. I know, trust me, I'm more than well aware, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I'm still a slave, because then you're doing more damage to yourself than anybody else, because you're starting yourself off, and you start the race, you looking at yourself like a slave. You're the one looking at it. Everybody else telling you got every opportunity in the world. Now, it may be some difficulties you have to deal with, but if you looking at these difficulties and saying, well, because I'm this, I'll never be able to overcome that, you building these fucking obstacles 10 times higher than what they really are. You know what I mean? And so I think part of that is changing the way you think about it. Like, know where you came from. Like, I'm not telling you not to be aware, but let's be in reality. We became slaves because some wrong decisions were made, and people don't like hearing that, because, you know, these are the people that look like them or whatever. But the wrong decisions were made, the wrong choices were made, and we took some L's. You know what I mean? That's what the history is. Now you have the opportunity at this point in society to turn them L's into some wins. And you could be anything, you know, and that's what I don't think people look at. They still connect to that old, the civil rights. And I understand it, because shit, I'm talking about shit. My mom is a generation away from me, one generation away that was going through segregation and you know, dealing with, she was alive when the civil rights issues and things were like going on. My grandma, you know, 2 generations away, going through situations that were much more oppressive than what they are now. You know, had family who couldn't ride on certain parts of the train. Then I had family who were just light-skinned enough, fuck them motherfuckers, to ride in the white parts of the train. But they was black as hell, but they didn't look black as hell, but they were black. But they were able to ride on the white side of the train. Like, so I'm familiar with these. I know the stories of my people. But is their story my story right now? Absolutely not. They couldn't get on the train, get to their destination, hop off and go stream and talk about, boy, I was just on the train and motherfucking me, let me tell you about this white man made me get out of my seat. They can't get on the internet and talk about it. They wasn't able to do. I have a whole different opportunity now. I have a whole new set of rules that I can abide by, that I can apply. And you got to take advantage of that. But what you got a lot of people who are taking the old lifestyle and trying to combine it with the new opportunities, and really they're losing because they're leaning more to this old belief and just carrying it over into the technology, man. You know, that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's my idea. But again, that's what I say. You have to look at it as a platform to show how far you've come from or where you once were. So I have no problem with, like I said, I have no problem with the art itself, but it's the people who just deeply ingrain themselves to where they're still mentally slaves. I told y'all about the old hairdresser and the motherfucking, yeah, exactly, addicted to the misery. Like I say, that's why I say know about it, but don't be bound to your history. That's why it's history. But I tell you about the hairdresser who used to use it fucking that stuff. Fuck with this bitch would always be just connecting herself to all kind of black problems. Oh, you know, this and this and this. You grew up in a nice neighborhood with both your parents. You went to college. You ain't never been arrested. You ain't never had these problems. Any issue that you having is because you fucking with motherfuckers who do this shit, but you've never had to do this, but you associate yourself with these people because you feel like you got to have this connection with a certain type of people. You know, you talking about, oh yeah, you go outside and you're gonna get shot by the cops. You ain't never had a run-in with the law. What the fuck are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't never, the only, you know, you smoke a little weed or do whatever, you call yourself trying to do whatever you're doing, but you don't have these problems. You own your own shop. Everything you got going is the only reason you have any issues because you make bad relationship decisions or bad whatever. But outside of that, whose fault is that? That is your fucking fault. Everything else in your life is just as good as this supposed white caricature that we make, that of the white man that has it all good with the silver spoon on. You had all these things, still got these things. You know what I'm saying? But somehow, some way, she associates herself with all the oppression that's going on. Well, ain't no negativity going on in your life. The only negative shit that you got going is the shit that you bring into your life. And that's why I say it blows my mind that it's easy to look at well, because what we do as people is we think that the person next door across the road, well, they got this and this, because we can't see that they going through shit too. Man, everybody going through some shit. Everybody got problems. Everybody got shit going on. But people feel like, oh, because they come outside, they smile, they might hop in a decent car. Motherfuckers don't even know they underwater paying for that car. They might think that because they have a nice house. Motherfuckers don't know they upside down on that fucking house. You know what I mean? They paying more on that house than the value of that house is worth. All these things, and so we always expect everybody else got it better than us. Oh, we got these. I got problems, and everybody got problems. But it's about how you deal with them motherfucking problems. You know what I mean? And if you let them things overwhelm you and run you down, then of course it's gonna seem like something. But in reality, that shit is not, man. That shit is not what that is, man.
And that kind of goes to what I was saying about people paying attention to the negative stuff and the violent stuff. Man, just to pick it back on your point there. I think that, I know you heard this old saying, well, we all have, oh, the white man's holding me down. I'm not, only thing I can ever do is get out here and sell these drugs, try to make me some money, try to, support my kids, stuff like that. And to me, it's mind-boggling that people think like that. It's like, seriously? Really? Okay, that's your business, your life. I'm not finna try to change your mind. I'm not finna try to tell you what to do. You're a grown man, old woman. You do what you want to do. But it's just to the point to where... And then someone makes it, that was in the same situation, makes it out and don't want to give back or don't want to help you get out. Or now you think you uppity and blah, blah, blah. Hell no. If I can do it, you could do it. You know what I'm saying? We came from the same struggle. If I can do it, you could do it. It's just that I didn't have that mind state that these people are holding me down and stuff like that. I'm holding myself down. Nobody got me tied to a chair. Nothing stopping me from, going to get a job or nothing like that. Stopping me from going to college. You decided to do that yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I hate that mindset, and I agree with you 100%. People do like to think, oh man, my ancestors were slave. Oh, that person there, they racist and blah blah blah. It's like, no, man, no. Whether they slave, whether they're racist or not, that's besides the point. The point is, why don't you get out there, you make something happen for yourself, and you'll start seeing the benefits of it. If you first get out that mindset, thinking like that, then you will come out. You'll start being a whole lot better with yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I think we as people, especially black people, we need to stop thinking force of music is the only way to make it out the hood. We need to stop thinking like that, for real, because there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. And like I said before, and I know I brought this topic up before, but I'm gonna say it again because it's the 100% truth. I don't always agree with Charles Barkley, but he said it, and I was like, I backed him up 1,000,000,000% on that. We need doctors, we need lawyers, we need judges, we need scientists, we need architects, we need, whatever. You can go to school and do that and be just as successful, or probably even more successful as these rappers and ball players. So what I'm saying? These ball players, you can go through life without the injuries. So what I'm saying? Rappers, you can go through life without the beef and potentially getting shot and killed. So what I'm saying? So, I mean, might get shot and killed. But I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? You know how it is in the music industry. But I'm just saying, but that's all I'm saying, though. And I hate the fact that people use that as an excuse to why they in the hood and they can't get out. And then when they see someone else that do get out, now you up it. What's her name? Jennifer Hudson. Yeah. Look what happened when she made it out. They thought she was all up. They want to go and try and rob her. So you trying to keep other black people down, trying to bring them back into the hood when they made it out. However they make it out, then you trying to bring them back because you don't like the person they're out. They go and kill her mom and niece and nephew. I forgot exactly how the story went, but something like that. And it's like that's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's mind-boggling to me. And Broderick, you're right. Blacks do oppress themselves. They are holding themselves down. And I hate to say that about my own people, but it's the truth. And when you say, and that's another thing that kills me too. When you say stuff like this, oh, now you're a coon, you're working for the white man, or you're a self-hater, whatever other title they can come up with. It's like, no, man, if you open your eyes and think, you can do the same thing. You just choose not to. You just looking for a handout. You choose not to.
No.
And it's like I said before, it's mind-boggling to me. I can't fathom why someone would sit here and say, "Man, I can't do this, blah 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 blah." Well, if you feel that way, why don't you start your own thing?
Exactly.
There's always ways around stuff. If you feel a certain way, do your own thing. There's always ways to do stuff. So I just can't fathom that. And excuse me, I'm sorry. And I just think that we get out of that mindset as a people, not just black people, everybody. But I gotta say, I mainly hear this from my own people. But if we, as a people, just stop getting out of this mindset that you can't do this. I tell my daughter all the time, she said, I can't do this hard. I mean, I know she's only 8 years old, but I tell her, I say, big girl, you can do anything. Don't let daddy hear you say you can't do something. You can do it. Don't ever give up. And I tell her that all the time. And she mostly say that when she like playing a game or she trying to, put a puzzle together or whatever. And then later on, here she comes, Daddy, I did it. I said, see, I told you, don't ever say what you can't do. You cannot never say that. And that's when, and I'm trying to put that in here as she's young to understand you can do anything. Don't let nobody tell you you can't. If they say you can't, tell them, well, I ain't say this, but I'm thinking in my head. But that's what I'm thinking. But I didn't actually think of that. But it's just a thing that we as a people need to stop doing it. And even my wife need to man up, new leader of the feminists. No, Heidi. I think that's a dumb group. I don't know who started that, why they started that, all that good crap. That's another thing to get on, but I didn't want to just open up that topic like that. But since Heidi brought it up, I'm gonna say something.
But man, you mentioned something though earlier that I definitely agree with, and you talked about telling other folks that if I can do it, you can do it too. That's what bothers me with a lot of these upscale, more liberal leaning minded folks who sit there and say, "Oh, we oppressed, we can't do this, we can't do that." But how did you make it? How were you able to do it? So basically, you telling me you could do it, but I can't do it because I'm not good enough to overcome this quote unquote oppression that's holding me down. You could escape and you were able to be successful. You were able to thrive, but I'm not good enough to do it without somebody else's help or without this other situation. And that's the thing to me is almost more insulting than anything else because you're doubting my abilities. You're doubting my the what I can do and what I can create for myself. And then that's the thing that I guess that bothers me the most about the whole situation. Like, if somebody else could do it, why the fuck can't I? Who's to say that this motherfucker is any more than me? But a lot of people would rather these. But like, I'd rather the struggle, figure it out. I know I've created some things from bad decisions that I've made in the past that make some of the situations a little bit more difficult. I mean, it's opportunities that I cannot have now because of decisions that I made, legal situations, whatever. But guess what? I embrace that and then try to find a way to overcome that. That can't be an excuse because guess what? It's been somebody who done got 10, 20, well, I ain't gonna say 10, 20 felonies, but they had 10 felonies and came out and finally got their mind right and got their shit together. Now, the likelihood of it gets slimmer with each one, yes, but there's been someone who's done it. And if they fucking done it, why can't I? It's somebody out there who's missing arms and legs and they created a life for themselves. Stephen Hawking was considered one of the brightest minds of this generation. Was paralyzed, you know what I mean? Like, but still was known, was successful. I mean, so the excuses that people come up with, it baffles me. And I, especially, like I say, and I try to look at myself, because there was a point in time when I was like, oh, I'm this, so they ain't gonna let me, it's because of this, it's because of that. But then when it just kind of clicked, I'm like, well, what's really stopping me? The only thing that's stopping me is the way that I'm thinking about the shit, because I'm allowing this fictional person, this fictional group of this fictional this fictional Illuminati, if you will, you know what I'm saying, that there's this Illuminati that's concerned with just stopping me directly. There may be a group out there may be, with some of this record sales shit that's going on and people pushing certain shit, especially in this mainstream, I believe that there are organizations that are controlling what gets put out there. Now, is it the Illuminati specifically? I don't know, because niggas say everybody in the Illuminati, and there'd be some dumbass motherfuckers that people will try to say is in the Illuminati. That like, this motherfucker can't read a book. How the fuck is he in the Illuminati? Now he may be being controlled, maybe a puppet, you know, from some outcome of the shit, but he's not in the Illuminati. This motherfucker's dumb as a fucking doorknob. Goofy ass nigga be running and telling everybody, "Oh, I'm in the Illuminati. You can't fuck with me." You know, you can't give everybody that type of responsibility, but. But what I'm saying is that I don't believe that there's just this secret organization whose whole life mission is dedicated to stopping Ed Honcho from being able to be successful at something or be successful on whatever journey or path that he creates. And that's what people do. And when you do that, I think you make it's your ego, if anything. That's only because you're thinking a little bit too highly of yourself. If you really think that there's this group that's sitting in a fucking dark room in the back of a goddamn office somewhere and just with some candles lit, and we gonna get that goddamn Honcho. We gonna figure out what his next move is, and we gonna shut him down. And if there is, well, guess what? I'm gonna overcome they motherfucking ass too, and more power to me for that type of shit. But it's just
that oh, my bad. I thought you were done there. No, that kind of got me thinking about. I was having this conversation with this girl at work one day, how she was saying that men get paid more on a job than women. And I asked her, I said, what fucking job is that? She said, oh, there are plenty of them. I said, name one. Oh, no, there are plenty of them. I said, you can't even tell me one. I said, you want to know how that's a lie? The only way that something like this is possible is if he has a higher ranking, more responsibility, things like that, than the woman. Then, of course. Now, excuse me. Now, if it's the same exact job title, same exact role on that job, same exact everything, wonder why that won't happen? There'd be so many lawsuits on that company, it'd be freaking ridiculous. That company would not be in business. And then I told her, I say, I've been at this job 3 years before you. You making the same amount of money I'm making on my job. So you tell me how a woman gonna make less than a man doing the same amount of work. Now, if he's doing more work, that's a different story. But the same exact thing, no. And when you're hearing that stuff, it's like, you really believe that? You really believe stuff like that? I mean, stuff like people just using excuses to try to hold themselves down. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, I have never heard of a job doing that. I mean, I've heard that story before, but I've never heard of a job sitting there holding you back just because you're a female. I mean, not holding back, I'm sorry. Paying you less because you're a female. Mm-hmm. They know if they do something like that, because people are going to talk about their salaries on their job. Yeah. So there ain't no such thing as they can't talk about it or they won't talk about it. It's going to get talked about. Mm-hmm. And they're going to say, oh, you making $3 more an hour than me or however much than me? Oh, no, I'm finna say something because I'm doing the same thing you're doing. So it's like, when she said that, I was like, are you serious? Really? Wow. You had this job. I've been here way longer than you, making more than you. Now, the only kind of way that might be possible if the job, for two different ways. Like I said before, if he has a higher ranking or doing more work than you, then maybe so. Or some jobs do it like this to where they base your pay upon your work performance. Something like that. That's a different story. And maybe you need to step your game up. But other than that, there's nowhere in here. Nowhere. Yeah. No.
And Roger made a good point there, man. But like, people don't. Like, you got to realize, for the job that you getting paid for, especially if you're a contractor or something of that sort, the company that's hiring you out, they're making so much more money off of you that you have some wiggle room in your pay rate, especially if you bring value to the situation. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, yeah, we may do the same job, but I may bring more value because I have more skills. I have more invested in myself. I have more talents that, we may be at the same level of employment, but I get more done. I have more production. So again, you got to be able, you got to put yourself in a position where you're not afraid to negotiate. But that's something that I've read a lot about, that most people don't go. They just take whatever pay rates put on the table and they go with that. So you gotta like, I mean, it's like over like 90% of people do not negotiate, their pay rates. And that's crazy. I mean, but when you learn, again, that comes from reading. Because when you don't read, you don't know shit like that. You think you got to take whatever they give you. But you got to learn these things. You got to go in. You got to negotiate. You have to have a set worth for yourself. You know what I mean? And if you know go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Oh, I'm going to say, I agree with you, Heidi. You should, if a job gives you an annual review, tell them you got 3 other offers doing the same thing. Match it or leave it. See what they say or do. Whether you tell the truth or not, just see what happens. I agree with that. That's a good one, Heidi. I agree with that. But yeah, you can, a lot of these jobs you can negotiate your pay. I know that large of amount of people that don't. Wow. I thought maybe some people more than that did. Wow. Only 10% of people do. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. That oof. But anyway, I'm just surprised by that number. But yeah, you can. You know what I'm saying? Some companies will say, well, we pay this here amount. Some of them, if you look at their face or how they come across when they say that, they waiting on you to say, well, how about if I got the experience, I can do this, I can do this. How about I get paid $1 more, whatever. They waiting on stuff like that, but you don't do it. They get comfortable and saying, oh, well, okay, okay. He said he'll take $10 an hour when we're really paying $20. Okay, something like that. Now, stuff like that occurs, then yeah, he's gonna get paid more than you too. Cause yeah. but I was that just crossed my mind because you were talking about how people use excuses to hold themselves back, and that just popped in my head. Like, there's no way in hell that you're gonna sit here and tell me just because you're a female doing the same amount of work I am, same job title, same everything, you're gonna get paid less just because you're a female. Now, I will say this here. In society, in the world itself, yes, women do get taken advantage of, like going out buying cars and stuff like that. Yeah, they get taken advantage of, or a house or whatever. But in the workplace, I don't think they do. I think women just use that excuse. It's kind of like what Heidi was talking about with the feminine stuff earlier. I'm not finna get into that stuff because I know that's a topic that might hit me. Honcho on YouTube. I'm just saying this here. I just think that's a group that kind of uses excuses to get people to join them so they can get what they want without actually working hard. That's all I'm gonna say. Now if Honcho wants to talk about it, he can. But I just don't want to mess up his thing.
I mean, there's definitely a time play. We're gonna have to have a long sit down discussion about that because that's definitely a topic that needs to be addressed.
So are you saying most blacks settle for small?
Well, we can talk about that next time if you want to.
Okay. Yeah. Ed, man, I appreciate the love, the donation. He said, so are you saying that most blacks settle for small? Absolutely. Most people overall take what's presented for them because you got to go out and you have to establish your worth. You have to have a set value for yourself. You have to feel like, hey, this is what I'm worth. This is what I accept in life. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just say, okay, well, it is what it is. I'm happy to have it. And there's nothing wrong with being happy to have something. But at the same time, if you put work and effort into yourself of being better at your craft, being better at the things that you do, then you have to establish a standard for yourself. And I think that a lot of people don't do that. So I mean, that's something you got to be careful.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. We do need to value ourselves a little bit more. Because I do remember one of my first job, my very first job, was at, like I told you before, was at Fiesta up in 5th Ward on Lowndes Avenue. That was my very first job. Minimum wage was $4.25. That's how much I was making. Yeah. Of course, my first job, I ain't doing it better. Then when I get to my next job was at working at Popeyes, right down the street on Lowndes Avenue, right down the street there, right next to Church's Chicken. Hey, Miss Church's. But anyway, they were talking about they were paying, I forget exactly, but minimum wage had went up a little bit then, but they were paying right at minimum wage, just slightly over. And I was like, no, I'm a good hard worker. You can ask my last job. They right down the street. I come to work every single day. you know, and blah blah blah. And I said, can I get at least 50 cents more? You know, something like I forget my exact words, but it was something like that. No. And they gave it to me. You know, because of what I said, I was at that job while I was in my last year at school, and then and I never missed a day. I was always at work. You know what I'm saying? Even in that hot Texas heat, well, getting the damn baskets out the damn parking lot and stuff like that. Before I guess you could say, got promoted up to bagging groceries, then got promoted up to cash register, then got promoted up to assistant manager before I quit. Yeah. And that was just a dumb decision I made when I quit. But you live and learn. Yeah. But still, you know that, and I negotiated a little bit, and they gave it to me. Now, should I have taken more than 50 cents? Yeah, probably, but I did. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And when you said that 90% of people don't, I'm like, wow, I didn't. I'm still shocked. I did not know that many people that don't.
Yeah, most people don't. I'll say it's an overwhelming majority of people do not negotiate. Oh. They take whatever offer is initially placed on the table. And the thing is, what people got to realize, these companies are not to save money. They have to try to keep as much of it in their pocket as possible. You know, that's just part of the program. You don't stay in business giving out all the money, you know. And so if you're not going to ask for more, if you're not going to negotiate, then you're going to miss out on the opportunity. And you sign that paperwork saying this is what I'm willing to work for. I mean, you're missing out on the opportunity. So, you know, there's that. Let's see. Who you talking about? Jay Bird, James, and Balin. They all the same dude. They all sit in the same room. in a 4x2 closet on the same phone, texting the same shit. All right, you switch to my account. No, you switch to your account. No, you switch to my account. I ain't worried about that.
Wow.
It's all Gucci, man. It's all Gucci. But here's the deal, man. I promise y'all on the weekends I'm gonna give y'all a mixture. It's getting a little bit close to that time. But anything else you want to discuss? You know, before we wrap it up, Mr. Man Up.
Hey man, I appreciate you having me on. You know what I'm saying? Once again, like I said, I don't just be saying that just because it sounds good. I really, really do appreciate it. And you know, this has been fun. You know, I love the new setup, and I'm glad you got me sitting on the couch. The couch is kind of comfy. I like it.
Yeah. The couch. I was just sitting there looking. I'm like, man, the couch empty. We gotta do something with this real quick, man.
Hey, that was good thinking. Cause I would never thought. That was good thinking. See. It was fun, man. You know, we got to do it again real soon, like you always say. And I want to say thanks to everybody that took time out their day, like Honcho always says, because he's telling the truth on that. Thank y'all for taking time out y'all day to come mess with us, because y'all don't have to. Y'all could be doing whatever else y'all want to do, playing games, you know, watching the football, whatever, you know what I'm saying, anything. So I do appreciate that. And then I do want to say to you, Honcho, keep up the good work, man. Like I said before, I sent you the text, man. You know, you always come up with good ideas. I don't always catch every one of your streams, and sometimes when I do catch them, I catch it for a little bit, then I have to get back to doing the things that I'm doing. But I gotta give you that love, man. I got to. And you always have good ideas about everything when I be watching that. And I like that last one you did. I don't want to keep on going, keep rambling. I like the last one you did about the comedians, and you know that is our last line of defense of speaking your mind, and they is trying to take that from us. But just keep up the good work, man. I appreciate everything you're doing. Like I said before, I don't care who said what. Because I saw somebody say in the chat, I'm Honcho's #1 fan, man. You keep it up, man.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you. Definitely have been holding it down for day one and keeping me motivated to keep it going, man. So I thank you for that. I sincerely do thank you for that. But like I say, you know, here's the deal. You know, we just got to keep it pushing, and hopefully you're gonna be available to join us next week.
I keep you posted. Keep you posted.
Okay. Well, either way, you know, we're always looking forward to it. Like I say, so what we'll do, we'll have some mixer action here shortly. We'll be on the mixer talking a little bit of shit. I don't know if Kush is available, but we'll see what kind of shenanigans we can get into on the mixer action. But again, I want to say I appreciate you, Man Up, for joining us, man. It was a good one. It was a very good one, and I mean we covered a wide array of topics. You know, we try to start on topics. Sometimes, you know, hey, that's how the den works. Whether it's the Kush den or it's the den, you know, we gonna start off on topic, but hey, it's about whatever. You know, again, it's about the conversation. Like, I mean, because the den is supposed to be like a real conversation, as in any other place you have a conversation with somebody. You may start off on one topic,
Peace.